Welcome back to FORTitude, folks. I'm your host, J.W. Wilson, with my co-host, Brenton Payne, and we have a doozy for you today. We have a special guest in the house. Before we get to him, we'll let you stew on that, who it might be. But before we get to him, we got a few things to discuss briefly. It seems our Governor Gregory Abbott has taken ill with the virus known as COVID-19. Britton, did you hear that?
You're like all the rest. Everybody's getting on. I mean, you keep going.
Moving along. I have a question for you, Brenton.
Okay.
Now that we handled that Governor Abbott question, do you own a fishing shirt?
I do. I have two.
I thought you might. I've noticed usually your standard uniform entails a plaid shirt with khaki pants, but you have a couple hanging lovingly in your closet. Sounds like.
Well, they offer quite a few things. Firstly, if you ever notice like a farm worker, they wear long sleeve shirts in 100-degree heat, and you're kind of going, "What is this all about?" It is not only sun protection, but also when you sweat, there's this idea that it's cooler than just maybe bare skin baking in the sun. I'm not sure, but
interesting. I appreciate your reasonings. The reason my question is that I've noticed a lot of people around Fort Worth, men generally, wearing fishing shirts. So I didn't know if fishing had made a serious revival in this city, because apparently there's fishermen literally everywhere these days.
Well,
have you noticed that too?
Now, do you have a lot of tucked in or untucked? Because the way this thing works is the button down has always covered the gut.
Right.
Better than a T-shirt like you're wearing.
The gentlemen that I usually see wearing them, I don't think they're able to tuck in the front, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, are they that comfortable a shirt to wear? I'm curious.
Clearly. They have the mesh like underarms and the back vent kind of thing, so who knows?
All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, it's time to get to our first guest, so we'll be right back with this special guest.
Here's Powers flipping it back to the corner for Tatu. He scores from a bad angle. Off comes the shirt, and Dallas takes a lead of 2-1 in this game.
All right, welcome back, FORTituders. Today we have a man by the name of Antonio Carlos Pecorari. You might know him by his more famous name, Tatu, of famed soccer in the Dallas Sidekicks more specifically. But Tatu is in studio with us today. Thank you, Tatu, for joining us. We are very honored and privileged to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Thanks for being here. And go ahead. Why don't you announce where he's from? Because I know you guys.
I'm going to.
And then Tatu will correct you.
Okay, Tatu. So from my extensive research, you were born in a little town in Brazil called Marinque. Did I nail it?
Almost.
Marinque.
Almost.
How would you say it?
If you're shooting on goal, you miss by 20 yards, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
say it one more time. There we go. That he got it.
Nailed it.
Marinque.
Yes, I think I'm saying that, but apparently I'm not. So anyway, Tatu came to the United States in 1981 as a 19-year-old. You'd already been playing soccer for a period of time. Your first play with the Tampa Bay Rowdies, you scored a hat trick on your very first game without ever practicing with the team. That was a substantial moment in your life, I think. That transitioned into the Dallas Sidekicks, where you spent 19 years, 84 to 03. You won 4 championships before retiring in 2003. Looks like you can still play a little soccer now. I'm just throwing it out there.
I still do.
You still do? I figured as much. You took over the Sidekicks head coaching job from the legendary Gordon Jago. You played and coached from 98 to 2003 with the Sidekicks. You're the only player, and we're just doing some stats on you. We'll go into all these nice questions here in a second, but you're the only player in the history of indoor soccer to win Player of the Year and Coach of the Year in the same season. That's incredible. Nice job. Your coaching record, 63-53, with a 7-3 record in the playoffs. On 2010, a team called Sting 95, which we'll ask you about more, won 2 national titles in 1 week. Never before done that. You were co-owner and GM and head coach of the Sidekicks in 2012. Did that for 3 seasons, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're currently head coach of the Mesquite Outlaws. That's where you're spending most of your time these days in the Major Arena Soccer League. You got to carry the torch in the 2002 Summer Olympics in Salt Lake City. That's a big deal. You're second all-time in goals. You're second all-time in most seasons played, 21, Brenton. And second all-time in points scored with 1584. Second in game-winning goals, 77. Indoor Soccer Hall of Fame, 2011. Your jersey, number 9, the famous number 9, is now hanging in the rafters where it should be.
Where? In Reunion Arena? That's not around anymore.
It's gone.
Well, it's hanging somewhere, but is it in your house? Probably.
It's everywhere in my house.
Okay.
Oh, awesome.
Now that bio's extravagant, so we're gonna touch on some points there. But before we get to the really juicy stuff, we wanted to get to the early parts of your life.
So how? First of all, you look great. I mean, you really don't look different than when I used to idolize you back in those days, and you were playing indoor there for the Sidekicks. But yeah, on what JW said, how did that come about? Like, what was the visit in your town, or how did you get here? Like, how did these things kind of transpire?
Well, first of all, it was São Paulo had a deal with the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So we're going to bring the American young players to train in Brazil and get the young Brazilian players to come and play here. So that was the idea. So, they came in and they did a tryout. First, I was playing with the first team with São Paulo, and there was a deal where they got some futsal players and some of the outdoor players to actually, try the indoor game. It was a situation where it's basically, if you want to do it. If you don't. If you have any interest to go to the United States, do it. If you don't do it. So I went the first time. It was 2 days, and I guess I did well on the first day. Then the second day, I said, I have no interest to go to America. I cannot speak English. I said, I'm a small town, Brazil. I says that I'm not traveling. I'm not going nowhere. So I didn't show up for the second time. Suddenly, I'm training with the outdoor team, and the call come in, and they said, why you're not there? And I'm like, I didn't know I was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And they said, no, they specifically asked for you. I said, well, all right. So, get your things, get up there, and let's go. And that's how we start.
How old were you at that time?
It was 18.
Yeah.
I was going to 19. So.
How big was your first contract, Tatu, if you mind us asking? Was it worth mentioning? Or
No, for me, it was way back. I don't remember. But the good thing about those days is, I didn't want to come. Okay, be honest with you. I had a hepatitis, the year before, and I promised Mom. I said, "Hell no, we miss Christmas, we miss my birthday, and we miss Carnival, which is big in Brazil then."
Yeah.
So, I told her, I said, "No, we'll make up for those dates we lost." So then it suddenly came an opportunity to come to the United States. So I really didn't have no interest. Okay, so. I got a lot of leverage with that because I didn't want to come, and they say, "Well, we need you to do this because this is important for the club." Mm-hmm. So they came to me and says, "We'll give you the loan money." Okay, at that time, I'm going through your numbers. I'm not so sure this is correct, but it was probably around 20-30 grand. For the 18 years old, 1980. My God, that was a lot of money. I built 5 condos in Brazil with that money. Yes.
And paid those hospital bills from the Hep C, huh?
Yeah.
And you went out and sold these condos as you built them?
No, basically I have rental in Brazil because the goal was to come here, play for a couple of years, then go back home. And that couple of years turned out to be, my life. So
who knew you were a developer too? That's fantastic. Well, go ahead.
Well, for me, is growing up, I come from a poor family. And I know early on it was bringing to me was, do you want to play this game for name, status, or you want to play to make money, make a living? For me, like I said, coming from a poor family, I want to do something for my mom. It was very important for me I want to build something for her. And, so I invest everything I got. So because the goal was to go back to Brazil. So today I own, over 12 homes in Brazil. I rent it out. My brother take care, and he take care of his families off that. So,
very nice.
So it's pretty good. So that was the idea, is, I want to make a living out of the game. Not, I'm not playing just for the name.
Surely.
So.
Speaking about your childhood real quick, when in your life did you know that you were better at soccer than everybody else? When did that hit you? Is there a definitive point in your life?
It was amazing because for me, early on, you kind of it's strange because normally, and I don't want to upset our cameraman here, but normally with in Brazil with growing up is if they put you on goal. That means because you cannot play on the field.
Our cameraman's a goalie, just so everyone knows.
So,
we agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so so they keep saying, no, you're not playing on the field.
Yeah.
You're going to play on goal, and I'm like, why is this? No, you're too good to play on the field, so you're going to play on goal. So I'm like, oh, that's great. And it was a situation also with my father, because my father, it was not a typical. Relationship where we do here, you're throwing soccer balls and you play in the backyard with football and baseball. I never had that with my parents, my father. Okay, so it was, he works, very busy, didn't have the time to be in the backyard and play with his son. So somebody, he used to go in a bar and have a few drinks, and somebody told him, say, by the way, your son is pretty good. And he's like, my son? He said, yeah, he's, fantastic. He said, you should go watch him. He's great. So, from that point forward, Daddy came to every game.
Oh, yeah.
And I start, and so somebody told me the story. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know why my dad is coming out watching me.
Sure.
So,
did your mom too? She came to every game, huh?
Mommy came to one game and I played the worst game of my life.
Oh, man.
I tried so hard to please her.
Yeah. And
trust me, everything I touch, it went the wrong direction. And I'm like, my God, is the game I'm asking to, do the best I can. And I really screwed up. Actually, I was sub at halftime, and I feel like never again. And I feel so bad because that's was the most important game in my life, and I didn't do well.
Nice. We both have wives, so we kind of understand that problem with the mom. I'm just kidding, ladies.
So can you explain? So let me ask this, because you brought up futsal and that outdoor. So did you come from the futsal side or the outdoor side when you were brought up into the ranks?
Well, growing up in Brazil, I play a lot of futsal.
I didn't know that had been around. So how long had that been around?
The futsal has been around forever, but the real futsal, today they play in a different. The courts are a little bigger, the fields.
Okay, but it's a heavier ball, right?
Correct.
So it stays on the ground?
Correct, but then they also change. Now it's a little more bouncing ball. Before it was very heavy, really stay on the ground. But it was play on a basketball court. Mm-hmm. So it was very easy for you to, you just put two small goals and that was it.
Yeah.
So I start with that, and I love that game because it was very good to develop. You touch the ball a lot. That's 4v4 plus the goalkeeper. So I enjoyed the game. Then I turned pro playing the outdoor game. I was with São Paulo playing the outdoor game.
Okay.
And when I came to America, and I came and I played. The first season was indoor. Then I play outdoor. Then unfortunately, 2 years later, the league folded. So it was no outdoor, and the decision was going back home or stay here, and play indoor. So I decided instead of, go back home. I said, no, I like it. And the money, be honest with you, was much better here than was there.
Yeah.
There. So I say, I'm staying, and, that's history. So.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to your move to the Sidekicks, you touched on something about the folding of the soccer league. I've noticed that this happens quite a bit in the world of soccer, especially in indoor. These leagues form, you play for them, they win, and several years later they're gone. Why do leagues fold so often in the world of soccer? Is that a fair question? At least in this country.
Yes. Well, the problems is mismanagement and sometimes in the front office. Okay. When with the NASL was the outdoor league when it folded in 1983. The problems with when you start that every team start getting greedy and bringing the international players, the big name players. Mm-hmm. They had a club named New York Cosmos. Those days.
Pele played for them?
Correct. And Pele was one that came, they brought Beckenbauer, and so it was they made it was almost like a veteran all-star team over the world, and it was pretty famous. I was a kid in Brazil, I heard about Cosmos. They actually play exhibition game in Brazil.
Yeah.
So it was, but what it did is inflate, the market, and so everybody now is trying to match what New York Cosmos did.
Right.
The only problem is New York was drawing well, and they have the corporation support. So the income and the sponsorship was excellent, where everybody else trying to do the same, and there was no fan support, and also the sponsorship was not the same, so a lot of teams went bankruptcy. Then in the indoor, the problems that you have sometimes is you have people who do not have the financial backing to get involved, but they all believe they have the right answer to do. Okay, and unfortunately, when they come in, they do make the same mistake as everybody else did in the past,
Right.
and then they cannot sustain, financially, and then it's gone.
Gotcha.
And to play indoors is, the problems you have to rent the arena. It's more expensive than just play futsal in a basketball court. So
Surely.
Well, and then the fans, and you look at how much competition with entertainment, even now, and things like all of those things. So, I'm going to go off a little script here.
Please.
So
where you want. You always do.
I think
anyway.
about being an 18, 19-year-old guy. You're coming here. You're doing it because you want to take care of your mom financially. What was the first night in this country like? Do you remember that? Like,
yes,
so can you just bring us to that?
Well, I can go back just a little bit. I got to the airplane, they put me on the flight. Normally, you're a professional in Brazil. They'll take care of everything. They check your bags. They do everything. You do nothing. Basically, you just arrive, get in the plane, and everything's great. So they told me, says, hey, by the way, there'll be someone, when you arrive in the United States, he'll be waiting for you. Guess what? I arrive in Miami 6 o'clock in the morning, and I go to the steward and says, hey, is anybody waiting for me here? They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Who are you?
Yeah, I was like, okay. And it's funny because, God is wonderful. And that time God was with me every inch of the way because, instead of panic and go crazy, and I figured out everybody has to get out of the plane and go get their bags. So I say, if I follow them, I think I'm going in the right direction. The problem is after when I got my bags, now everybody's going home, and I'm like, okay, now what? And I remember I got in a do not enter door and brrr, that make a big noise. Oh, yeah, everybody. And you in the airport in Miami is like 1 million people. They all eyes turn to you and they're like, oh my God, there we go. Great start at you. Good job. It was funny because then the lady, it was a Cuban lady that came to me and says, well, I say, I don't speak English, speak slowly, and that was it. And she's like, well, where are you from? I said, Brazil. She's like, oh, okay. So she started speaking Spanish with me. Then, cut the story short, she just took me to the, to the gate. It says, okay, by the way, your flight leaves at 9:30. Okay. And so just be here. And probably half an hour before you'll be fine. So don't leave the airport. I'm like, okay, great. So, I remember walking around, listen to all different language. I'm like, my God, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And I remember a guy stopping me one of those old days where the guy selling books in the airport. I don't know if you guys went through that. And the guy comes in and, hey, you come on. I'm like, no, I speak English. I said, no, well, what do you speak? I'm like, Portuguese. So, I speak Portuguese too. So I'm like, okay, here we go. I thought I got away with this one, but I didn't. And I finished it up buying the Three Musketeers in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I was like, what an idiot. But anyway, then I got to Tampa. Everything was great. They took me out to lunch. They told me go to the airport and to the hotel and say they just go sign and we'll pay for everything. Everything you're excited is great. Then in the morning comes and I start realizing, I said, well, I don't speak English. I cannot read in English. So how am I going to order? How am I going to talk? And, I was like, this is crazy. So that was my first day. I remember Mom, and one thing that still surprised me today, Mommy packed me a couple things, the old Mommy, she put a little, I remember the sausage with the tomato sauce inside. I don't know if you guys ever did, so those things, and they get an apple.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So I don't know how I came to, I went, somehow they allow, because you're not supposed to have food, and I find out later, cannot have, somehow it came through. Nobody stopped me. So I'm in the hotel, in the room, Now I'm like, what am I doing? Then I'm like, I say, hey, I have an apple and I have the can of, sausage and then the tomato and the sauce inside. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat this. The only thing I didn't have nothing to open. So I'm hammering the can on the ground to open up a dish. And that was my first dinner in America.
How royal that is.
We assume things have gotten better since then by the fact that you're being here and we're talking to you.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a great story. Thank you for sharing. So through Tampa, you make it to Dallas. You get signed by Dallas. That was and there was a little bit of a legal issue there but Dallas Sidekicks, where you made your name, your legacy sits there for the general most part of your life. You were a Dallas Sidekick for everybody in this metroplex and in the world for that matter. Tatu is a Dallas Sidekick. So without asking you a million Sidekicks questions, just describe the experience being there and being part of that team and what it meant to you to be a Dallas Sidekick.
Man, it was incredible. It was first of all, the American fans are just wonderful. I always felt welcome here for day one. I could not speak the language, so just smiling. People treat me like I was their own son. And I'm very appreciative to this country. Okay, that to me is unbelievable, and it breaks my heart when I hear anything negative about America. Okay, that to me is unacceptable. Everything I have, and the way I grow as a person, I owe to this country. So that to me is big. Being part of the Sidekicks, man, we had the ugly days. Our first season, we won, I think, 12 games. We lost 36. It was tough. You get there, it was hard to compete when you're losing all the time. We almost broke the record of most consecutive losses in the beginning of the season. I remember we actually beat the Cosmos, to break the record. So to me, that was big.
Yeah.
Then the people, the players, and then the fans and the ownership group. We had Donor Carters to, Stan Finney with the Graham family and all that was wonderful. These people was just, was a family. Mm-hmm. We had the luck to be associated with the Mavericks. I remember flying the Mavericks plane. It was for us, the old days where you go in the airport, it takes 2-3 days from go to play one game on the road, and you fly with the Mavericks plane, and suddenly you leave at 2:00 in the afternoon, you play at 7 where you are, and you get back home at 1 in the morning, and you don't have to sit in the airport and all the above. So no, it was a tremendous experience, and winning the championship in 86, 87 the way we did is wonderful. I'll never forget that. I can close my eyes. It feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
We were playing Game 7 in Tacoma. They had seats to the arena. 3 minutes left in the game. We're down 3-1. The announcer already, telling their fans to stay sit to get the championship trophy, and they'll present the runner-up trophy to the Sidekicks. And, you're playing the game and you listen to that. Then suddenly, we pull the goalkeeper, we go with 6 attacker, and then they never work.
Yeah.
Be honest with you, is a toss-up. And, man, we went from down 3-1 to tie the game 3-3. And finish it up winning on overtime. And I remember at this moment, when you look at the people's face, it's like 22,000 people, with their eyes wide open, just stunned.
Yeah.
They didn't know what the heck happened.
Yeah.
And we all just jumping and going crazy, and that was one of the few games where we have traffic coming to the arena. So it was wonderful. I'm very thankful to our Lord and to everyone, to the fans and to the people here, because it was a wonderful time.
Yeah. So can you explain the history of taking the shirt off when you score the goal? Is there something ceremonial about that, or did it just what happens there?
Well, basically, with the American guy went to Brazil and he watched a game. Okay, we had a guy in Brazil who scored the goals. He used to name his goals. So he used to, let's say he give the president's name. So tonight I'm going to score, Joe Biden's goal. Okay, and the guy goes and scores. So everybody's expectation. in one game, and he says you're going to take your shirt off. And, the outdoor game, you take the shirt off, you will, the old days, you get a red card. Now you get yellow. So everybody's like, oh, the idiot, if you scored a goal, don't take it because you're going to get a red.
Yeah.
And he took his shirt off and had another one under. So everybody's like, wow,
nice.
That's great. So the guy watched him do that, and he says, hey, Tatu, do it. So the first game in Tampa, he said, we'll have people around waiting for you with a jersey. So I scored a goal, and I was scared to death. I said, if I throw my jersey and it's not another one, then now what? I'll be topless the whole damn game, and it'll be the most embarrassing thing in my life. So I didn't do it. So I go back to the halftime, and he comes in, and he was mad. I thought we agreed something you're supposed to do. I'm like, I'm sorry, I was scared, to be honest with you. And suddenly he said, no, if you score, make sure you take it off. And I did it. And everybody went crazy.
Yeah.
And the old days, you're young, I had long hair, and you have, Tampa, you get a nice tan.
Yeah.
So I look all right.
Yeah,
so
you were
I said,
fit,
like,
though.
okay, yes. Yeah. So you're like, okay, that was it. Then when we came to the Sidekicks, Donald Carter, he's a Baptist. He didn't like the idea because he felt like it was more sexual type of, he didn't want to be associated with that. They finished it up convincing him with a good idea. And for early on it was good because a lot of the media people and the TV guys, they didn't know nothing about soccer. But it was easy to talk about the crazy guy who would, after he scored a goal, he'd take his shirt off. So we got a lot of, mileage off that publicity for the team.
We're going to do the same with our show. JW is going to do it, though.
You guys will look great.
We'll do that off camera for sure. Yes.
Hey, the ladies are coming, so you guys okay?
Yeah.
See,
No, they're not coming for me. I can tell you that. That's they're coming for you.
Yeah.
What? How many jerseys would you say you took off in your career?
Well, basically, the beginning we would do on the home and on the road. So it was a kind of embarrassed sometimes on the road throwing the shirt. So I would say probably 75% of the goals I score, I throw the jersey.
So 1,000 times maybe.
Well,
roughly.
it was probably, let's say around 700 times. Yeah.
That's a lot of times.
Yeah. It was one game. We run out of jersey. The guy came to me and said, "Hey, if you scored again, don't do it because we don't have enough."
They had a backup of jerseys on the bench for you.
Oh yes.
How many would they carry?
Probably 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I know.
That's incredible.
Okay, I'm going to play. We're going to wrap it up here, but I'm going to play a sound. I want you first thing that comes to mind when you hear this, what the feeling is. What's that make you think of when you hear that?
It feels great.
Well, before you go, tell us about the Mesquite Outlaws real quick because we've been following these guys.
Yeah.
We tell us how the team is, how you guys doing,
and how we can get our fans to look at the site or get out there and watch you guys play.
At this moment, we it's off season, so it's starting December, and great group, great relationship with the ownership. The guy who's Iranian, he plays before, they play soccer before, so he's not just a guy who wants a franchise, so he loves for the game. He actually tried out with the Dallas Tornadoes in 1970, so he didn't make it. So it's a good environment. It's a good opportunity for the local players. We bring a couple of guys from the outside. Yeah. Definitely because we're Mesquite, we bring some Mexicans players in. So it's kind of fun. Now it's easier to tell the guys to run, and you don't have to run. You tell them run faster. That's okay. So it's good to be on the both sides. The only bad thing about it is you're not in control anymore. So when you play, you can decide the result. As a coach, you depend on the guys to do what you ask them to do. So that's the difference.
Right. Well, so we can't end on that. Since you just said that, you head coached, you owned, and you played on the same team. Really quickly, how does that even work? How do you own, coach, and play on the same team?
Very difficult, because the problem is when you coach, you have to lead by example. So it's very difficult to, and when you get older too, it's the end of your career. So you tell the guys to do one thing and you're not capable of doing anymore. So it's harder. Training, you tell, hey, I want you to give 100%, but if you're old, you have to manage your energy.
Sure.
So it's a little difficult because sometimes you cannot back up your words. So it gets very difficult in the relationship, and sometimes the guys are afraid to deal with you as a player because they know you're the boss.
Yeah.
So it's a very uncomfortable, and I definitely do not recommend to anyone because it's when you come to the bench, now you turn to be a coach. So now you have to watch the game as a coach, now as a player. And when you're on the field, you have to act like a player, not as a coach. So it's a little confusing, but I did it because it was asked. Be honest with you,
Sure.
And in those days, sometimes one salary is better to deal than two.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I would do it if it was to help the team. So
I got to be honest with you, Tatu. There are not many people on the planet that actually would have the opportunity to do that. So your recommendation to not try it, we can appreciate it. But there's not too many people that could pull it off like you did. So
Well, I appreciate
one
it.
last
Thank
question, if you.
Yeah, real quick, though, about club soccer. So talk about that a little bit and the impact that it's having in this North Texas area as you're doing what you're doing now.
Well, it's amazing the way it's evolving. Unfortunately, it's turned out to be a business. I think that's the difficulty about everything is, you need to pay a fee to play the game, and that's the sad part. But I think the quality of the coaching and the development of the player, the opportunities arrive, to go to college and all the above, I think is fantastic. Okay. I think this is I wish, I had this when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Because and the quality of the coach, the things, quality coaches are telling the players today. I wish I've been told that when I was 10, and I was, I learned a lot on the street.
Yeah.
And those kids in this country have something very special. Like I said, if I would have changed one thing, is I would let everybody play for free. Because if my parents have to pay for me to play, I would not be able to play because they could not pay. So
okay, we real quick to just end it out. We ask all our guests this. No, you can't do family because we know that's going to be this. But you just got to kind of put the givens away. What was the best day of your life?
Best day of my life. Well, you mentioned but not family. Definitely my kids' born was it.
We can't accept that answer.
So I will go be honest with you with winning the championship 1986-87. That was special. Like I says to you, was when you're the underdog and you accomplish something where nobody believes you can. That was wonderful.
How did you celebrate that night?
My goodness, I remember walking and my ex-father-in-law was there with 6 bottles of champagne in the lobby. We just walk in and it went crazy. It was a wonderful night. We really enjoy. I think we had a very nice flight back from Seattle to Dallas, and we had over 5,000 people in the airport waiting for us.
You.
Yeah, that was.
You weren't searching for a can opener opener, the can of beanie weenies.
No.
Well, Tatu, it's been a privilege and honor to have you on our show. Thank you for joining us. We're huge fans. You've done so much for this city and this town, so thank you for everything.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. It's been fun.
So Carpenter slows it down. Well, they've got all the guns out there now for Dallas. Lawson, Milano, Tatu, and Carpenter. You can't put more offense on the floor for Dallas.
Milano across the red line to Tatu, right side. Double team by Mason. Tatu comes away with it.
Tatu tries to go around. Makes it. Gets the shot off. It's in. The Dallas Sidekicks. It's in. 1987 MISL Champions. Tatu with a blast. Carpenter with the goal. The Dallas Sidekicks have won. Down 2 goals with 2:48 remaining in the fourth period.
Everything was set up for Tacoma to be the champion, and us to win it, I think took a while to really realize.
This incredible story has finally come to an end, and they will live happily ever after. Incredibly, the Sidekicks have won the championship.
Unbelievable is the word of Kevin Smith. Isn't that the truth?
just unbelievable. You know, we always expect somebody to be there, but not 5,000-6,000 people, and that was great.
When they told me they were going to have a parade, I thought, well, that's going to be embarrassing. A few hundred people lining the streets of Dallas. And I was a bit concerned about it, over 10,000. I mean, it just was surprise upon surprise. And the emotion that we all felt at that time, as I've said then, if we live to be 100 years, if we win championship after championship,